His Honor the Mayor. Councillor Reynolds. Councillor McLaughlin. Councillor Emmons. Councillor Walker. Councillor Gozick. Councillor Van Buren. Councillor Cordino. All are present, Your Honor.
We have one person signed up to speak for the winter parking, and that is Mary Kay Stone. You could step up to the mic, state your name and address, and try to keep your comments to 5 minutes.
Mary Kay Stone, 121 West Seneca Street. And I really thank you for the solutions you found on winter parking, but I just wanted to say I don't think you're completely there yet. Another hearing that I was present at, Mr. Kells from the DPW had said 24-hour on and off parking wouldn't solve the problem because the plows would not be able to manage snowfall that accumulated for 24 hours. It would form ice, and the plows would not be able to efficiently get down the street. If we have permit parking through the night, there are always going to be some cars on one side of the street. And that means that the plows will never be able to totally clear, that what they do plow will probably be outside the cars, which means we homeowners are going to have another 6 or 7 feet to hand shovel till we get out to the spot between cars. I just think some form of alternate parking is the ultimate solution. So I hope you think that whatever you vote in will still be, a work in progress and something that you can tweak later on, because I just don't see this working that well. Thank you.
Thank you. Mary Kay was the only person signed up to speak on winter parking, but everyone else will speak on winter parking. All right? Please state your name and address.
My name is Patty Scanlon, and I live in the 3rd Ward. My concern with the alternate street parking is, or actually mainly with giving permits out for the parking, and that has to do with rental properties. My concern is that I know in Section 28015, rental properties are required to have parking, but we do have properties that that do not have parking because they are grandfathered in. Will this be the landlords or the tenants, or both can apply for it? My other concern is, will it be one parking space per property, or will each unit be able to have one? I think it should only be one per property, no matter how many units. Also, has the city identified all properties that are grandfathered into the exemption for having parking spaces if it's a rental unit? And will they be monitoring it to make sure that if any are not used for that use, that they will be removed from the list of being grandfathered in? So that's my concern. I prefer the off-street parking. I understand that there's a need for houses that don't have it. My concern is with rental properties. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm sure the councilors will address some of your questions.
My name is Sue Meehan, and I own the Irish Inn on the corner of West 3rd and Varick. The parking that would begin at midnight would directly affect my business. I have a liquor license that says I could stay open until 2, which is New York state law. In other words, if I have 5-10 people in the bar at midnight, I have to tell them they have to leave because they're either going to get ticketed or towed. It would directly affect my Christmas party, a New Year's Eve party, any party that I try to get to promote my business. It's off of Bridge Street. We don't get the luxury of having the captured people of downtown. It's away from downtown. We're struggling. All the bar owners that are off the beaten path are struggling, and this only adds to it. If we could just get the courtesy of the same as downtown's getting, they can stay open till 2 o'clock for the businesses that stay open late. I have opportunities to stay open late, and I would like to be granted the same privilege. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else on the winter parking? Please step up and state your name and address.
Hi, my name is Dave Thompson. I own Gibby's Irish Pub down on West 2nd Street. Same thing Sue said. If we just maybe get in some of the neighborhood districts to go to 2 o'clock, it'd help a lot of the patrons. I mean, I have a little better situation. I have some parking across the street with the parking lot there, but still people are gonna park right there on the street. Even after midnight. And sometimes the bands that are playing there, they park out front, so it's easier for them to get their stuff in and out. So I guess we're just looking to see if we could get it changed till 2 instead of midnight. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Anyone else on the winter parking? Seeing none, I will adjourn the public hearing on winter parking. Clerk, please call the roll. Or a motion, sorry. Councilor Van Buren, Councilor Walker. Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Reynolds. Counselor McLaughlin. Counselor Emmons. Counselor Walker. Counselor Gozick. Counselor Van Buren. Counselor Cordino. The resolution passes 7-0.
Thank you. And now I'll open the public hearing for the proposed amendments to the Code of the City of Oswego, Chapter 149, Housing Standards, reference to construction code and other laws. Will clerk please call the roll?
His Honor the Mayor.
Here.
Counselor Reynolds. Here. Counselor McLaughlin.
Here.
Counselor Emmons.
Here.
Counselor Walker. Here. Counselor Gozick.
Here.
Counselor Van Buren. Here. Counselor Cordino.
Here.
All are present, Your Honor.
Thank you. I had Sue Meehan and David Thompson. You signed up on this one. Did you speak on the winter parking? So we're good? With that, I have no other names on signed up for this public hearing. Would anyone like to speak on the construction and building code? Seeing none, I'll take a motion to adjourn this public hearing. Councilor Walker, Councilor Van Buren. Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Reynolds. Yes. Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes.
Counselor Emmons.
Yes.
Counselor Walker. Yes. Counselor Gozick.
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
Counselor Cordino.
Yes.
The resolution passes 7-0.
Thank you, and we will start public session at 7:15. I'd like to open the public session. There's nobody signed up to speak during the public session, but if there's somebody who did not sign up that would like to speak, now would be your time. Just please state your name and address when you step up to the mic, and try to keep your comments under 5 minutes. Would anybody like to speak? Ellen.
Hello, Ellen Clark, 14 Draper Street. I had the opportunity to experience Super Dirt Week this past week from the inside. I'm sure it comes as no surprise to anyone that I helped with guest services. I want to report that most everything under our control in Oswego and at the Speedway was very well done and well received. The rain caused some issues with the racing on Saturday, and the green parking lot had a bit of a mud buildup, but it's my understanding that will be taken care of for next season. Both Friday and Sunday, the track had a near-capacity crowd, reminiscent of Classic Weekend in the early 1980s. Many people that had been here for Classic Weekend this year were quite impressed with all the work that had gone on in the track since then. This week, the dirt is all being removed in preparation for the Race of the Champions on October 29th. It's being stored right on the grounds for next year. I spoke with a number of the visiting race fans who plan not only to come again next year, but to stay the week prior or the week after the races to experience the area because they enjoyed everything that they encountered. And I want to give kudos to a few places. The Pell Times, for those of you who didn't see them, they had printed pictures of racers, race cars on the back of each paper this week, and they were very well received. One lady almost kissed me on Saturday because I had Wednesday's paper, and that was the only one she was missing. So that went over really well. Oswego County had information there to hand out to everybody, and it included information on what was happening during the week that they could attend, and even into this coming week for anyone who stayed. The hotels and motels seemed very well prepared with information. specifically for the racers. I handed out keychains from the city of Oswego. Everybody loved those, of course. And the local business owners had posters in their windows. They were very willing to do that. And from my understanding, very accommodating to the racers and the race fans. They were all very pleased. Let's see. So overall, the folks from Super Dirt Week and the Speedway felt that things could not have gone better.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else like to please step up and just state your name and address?
Hi, my name is Janine Pitters, and I live in the District 1, and I am here to give one last plea regarding the winter parking. I live in a house that has no parking, nothing. And I understand that the vote tonight is to allow one car if you have no parking. Is that correct? All right. Well, I live on West Fifth Street. A lot of the houses are quite large. I live in a large house, and I think it's great that one parking, okay, but it is not enough. I plead to you to think of it yourself in this position. I have 4 people in my house who all have cars. I don't know where the other 3 are supposed to park. I have 2 college-age children and a partner, and one space, we cannot all fit in one space. It's just not possible. Imagine yourselves and your family if you only were given one space to park in. It's not realistic. And it's not realistic to my neighbors who all live in homes. Most homes have at least 2 cars. And I have a neighbor here this evening. She has 1 space, 2 cars, 1 space. Another neighbor who also lives across the street, they have 1 space, but they have, 2 teenagers that are driving and 2 adults that have cars. We really need to have alternate parking or another solution that is good for the whole community. It really devalues District 1 not to have enough parking. And there is room for us to park. It's not like the street is so narrow that people can't get through. You can put at least 4 cars across on my street. And other cities, many, many other cities, all have they've all figured out ways to let everybody have a place to park without walking blocks and blocks. I don't think any of you would like to have to walk to the lake 2 or 3 full blocks in order to get your car in the morning. It's just not fair. I know some of the complaints have been about the DPW and they can't get through and it's really hard for them. But you know what? In many other cities, they've all figured out how to make it work and they've all done it. I'm sure Oswego can do the same. We are bright enough to figure this out. So I plead to you tonight to please, we really need more than 1 parking spot. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak during public session? Seeing none, I will close public session, and the regular meeting will begin at 7:30. I'd like to call the meeting to order. We please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk, please call the roll.
His Honor the Mayor.
Here.
Counselor Reynolds.
Here.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Here.
Counselor Emmons.
Here.
Counselor Walker.
Here.
Counselor Gozick. Counselor Van Buren. Counselor Corradino. All are present, Your Honor.
Under the mayor's report, I would just like to thank all the officials involved with Super Dirt Week, the Teresi family out at the Oswego Speedway, And I need to thank the Oswego Fire Department, Police Department, and DPW, and Code Enforcement Department for all the help they did to make Dirt Week go off without a hitch, and all the work they did to, in such short order, helping the track and helping Super Dirt Week get ready for the event that happened this past weekend. As you know, we found out about Super Dirt Week officially in July. The Speedway had events up until Labor Day, even past Labor Day, so that gave us a short time to get everything in order, but went off without a hitch. I know I was at the track Sunday, had a great time, an absolutely huge crowd, and I got to the office this morning and not one complaint on the answering machine about noise, dirt, or anything, and, which was remarkable, really. But it's a good thing. So we'll work harder, and we'll have much more time next year to make it a better experience. And I look forward to her hosting Super Dirt Week next year as well. Also, today we were notified that earlier this year we applied for a grant from the Attorney General's Office of New York State. We were notified today that we were awarded $150,000 to fight zombie property. And this money is used to combat so-called zombie properties, which are bank-owned properties that aren't maintained during what could be a lengthy foreclosure process, and overall bank properties that seem to be neglected and where the lawn isn't mowed, the house is falling apart, which is a problem in the city, along with landlords who can't manage to maintain their property. Also, a lot of the problems we have in our neighborhoods are from bank-owned homes. So we were awarded $150,000. Our grant application, in our grant application, we included some funding. They asked what we'd use the funding for, and we submitted that we would initiate and implement a foreclosure prevention collaboration featuring monthly foreclosure information workshops for homeowners at risk of foreclosure, as well as foreclosure awareness clinics to local financial institutions featuring outreach and a marketing campaign. We included hosting a bank summit with local financial institutions to discuss challenges and strategies. We included expanding the capacity of the Community Development Office and the Code Enforcement Office with 3 part-time employees, 2 clerks for the Code Enforcement Office, which would help with the vacant property registry, help with rental permits, just overall help with processing paperwork, and 1 part-time clerk for the Community Development Office to help with mapping and gathering information to tackle the gigantic zombie property problem we have in the city. We also included partnering with the Oswego County Land Bank Corporation to demolish 2 vacant structures, so that will be included in the funding. We also included in the $150,000 purchase mapping technology, software, and equipment to assist in expanding capacity. And perhaps most importantly, in our application we included roughly $50,000 to develop an innovative local matching grant program to stimulate reinvestment, resulting in an immediate 2-for-1 compound gain in working with local neighbors to acquire, demolish, or rehabilitate troubled property on that block, and that is driving down property values at nearby homes. So that's probably, in my opinion, the most exciting part of the whole thing is essentially putting together a program and funding a program that will allow us to target the one house on the block that pulls down all the property values, much like the ORA's model. Now we'll be able to administer a program like that with some of this funding. That's all I have. Do any of the councilors have anything to add? Councilor Goza.
Yeah, I had a couple things, but first of all, I'd like to commend the mayor again on his diligence, on his perseverance in pursuing these grants, because I know in the 5th Ward, I hear weekly, and again, I could talk to animal control, I see Carrie out here, talk to code enforcement on a daily basis about these zombie properties, in particular in my ward, 268 West 5th Street, dubbed the House of Squalor, years ago on a TV special, looking at the house. neighbors that have to live near this, again, as the mayor pointed out, their property values have plummeted. They couldn't sell their houses if they wanted to. They have to live with like wild animals constantly parading through their yards. I live a block away from it. And looking at, the opportunity here to do something about this, it's great that we're improving our communities with things like the Renaissance, like people are fixing up their facades in the front yards. But the bottom line is everybody knows the closer you look, especially being a counselor, you may not notice it if you're just walking down the street or driving by, but literally, the mayor's not exaggerating, every block just about has one of these. And if this is going to help to expedite the process, to have these houses torn down and to rehabilitate that space with green space, or whatever the case may be, if neighbors want to purchase it, or somebody could buy it and build a house or refurbish the houses. I think this is a home run for the community, so I'm excited about that. But I did also want to mention just quickly that I attended the opening of Mr. Sivers' play over at the Safe Haven Museum this week in honor of the bicentennial. They put on a play. It showed through the weekend. It was phenomenal, chronicling the history of the Safe Haven Holocaust Museum, Oswego being the only Holocaust refugee camp in the United States in World War II. So I just wanted to say that that was an excellent presentation, and I was grateful to have attended on behalf of the city.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other counselors have anything to add? Seeing none, will clerk please call Resolution 361?
To approve the minutes of the Common Council meeting held September 26, 2016.
Counselor Emmons, Counselor Van Buren. Any comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes.
Counselor Emmons.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Gozick.
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
Counselor Cordino.
Yes.
Counselor Reynolds.
Yes.
The resolution passes 7-0.
Clerk, please call Resolution 362.
To appoint the Commissioner of Deeds.
Counselor McLaughlin, Counselor Walker. Any comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes.
Counselor Emmons.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Gozick.
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
Counselor Cordino.
Yes.
Counselor Reynolds.
Yes.
The resolution passes 7-0.
Clerk, please call Resolution 363.
To approve the use of public space, Michael Batchelor, owner of property located at 44 West 2nd Street, in order to install a 3-car parking area and apron.
Counselor Reynolds, Counselor Gozick. Any comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes.
Counselor Emmons.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Gozick.
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
Counselor Cordino.
Yes.
Counselor Reynolds.
Yes.
The resolution passes 7-0.
Clerk, please call Resolution 364.
To approve the use of public space, Stephen Pagliaroli, owner of property located at 243 Dewar Street, in order to install a 3-car parking area.
Counselor Walker, Counselor McLaughlin. Any comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes.
Counselor Emmons.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Gozick.
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
Counselor Cordino.
Yes.
Counselor Reynolds.
Yes.
The resolution passes 7-0.
Clerk, please call Resolution 365.
To approve the use of public space, James Migelski, owner of property located at 203 West Seneca Street, in order to install a fence.
Counselor Reynolds, Counselor Cordino. Any comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes.
Counselor Emmons.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Gozick.
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
Counselor Cordino.
Yes.
Counselor Reynolds.
Yes.
The resolution passes 7-0.
Clerk, please call Resolution 366.
To approve the use of public space, Housing Visions Consultants Incorporated, in order to construct and enhance 59 parking spaces for the proposed Harbor View Square project located at the Flexo Wire site.
Counselor Reynolds, Counselor Gozick. Any comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes.
Counselor Emmons.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Gozick.
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
Counselor Cordino.
Yes.
Counselor Reynolds.
Yes.
The resolution passes 7-0.
Clerk, please call Resolution 367.
To accept a donation from Walmart for use by the police department.
Counselor Reynolds, Counselor Emmons. Any comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes.
Counselor Emmons.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Gozick.
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
Counselor Cordino.
Yes.
Counselor Reynolds.
Yes.
The resolution passes 7-0.
Clerk, please call Resolution 368.
To approve proposed amendments to the Code of the City of Oswego, Chapter 257, Vehicles and Traffic, Section 257 through 27, Winter Parking Restrictions.
Counselor Emmons, Counselor Van Buren. Counselor Emmons.
Once again, Mayor, I'd just like to thank everybody that has been working on this proposal for several months now. All the council folks, certainly, Mayor, Commissioner DPW, Tom College, Chief of Care, and the police department as well. I think I've said, I think we've talked a lot about winter parking over the past couple of months. This plan and this proposal, it's far from perfect. It obviously doesn't solve everybody's individual issues that they might have. But I think we've been consistent in saying this is a step forward, and it's a step. It's not the be-all, end-all, and it's certainly not the stopping point, if you will, in terms of this conversation. It gives us a small step forward in terms of providing some relief for folks that do have, that don't have parking within the confines of their residence. There were a lot of amendments that were added during the committee meeting. I think they were all great amendments to this. And I think we will continue to improve and look at different strategies for winter parking moving forward. The one thing I would like to add, though, and I don't think we've really talked a lot about this, is that I think what we need to do before we really seriously move into conversation about, should we have alternate street parking, shouldn't we, other sorts of modes, if you will, of parking. I also think, and I think the mayor has done a tremendous job in taking leadership on this. I think we really need to focus in on our code and zoning within our housing market. I know in my particular ward, for example, there are houses that are overly occupied, quite frankly. And these are houses that not only have occupancy attached to them, but because of that over-occupancy, they have serious vehicle issues. They're parking 8 or 9 at these particular houses, but they seriously just don't have the parking for them. They might have 3 or 4 parking spots for an over-occupied house. I think we really need to focus in on strengthening our occupancy codes, enforcing occupancy codes within our rental market, enforcing some of the codes that are already on the books regarding the number of car spaces that are needed for rental properties. I think we got to fix those things first before we really look at alternate street parking. Because if we go right into alternate street parking before fixing those things, we're just going to create a lot of problems along our city streets, quite frankly, where you're going to have cars that were once that are parking along the streets, and now they're kind of moving over and trying to find parking on adjacent streets and these streets didn't necessarily have that level of parking on the streets before. And I would hate to kind of push those particular issues onto other streets and onto other property owners that might not have been streets before. So I think we need to really fix that first. I think we've made some steps, in looking at rental property owners. And again, I will say this, it's not every rental property owner. I think we take this kind of broad stroke and say all rental property owners. That's certainly not the case. There are many rental property owners that have great houses and upkeep them, and they have the appropriate amount of parking attached to them. Unfortunately, there are some that don't. And they tend to be, I think, in the third ward, they also spill over to the first ward. And unless we fix those issues, unless we tackle those things first, I don't think we can have a real serious dialogue about alternate street parking. Because once we get to that place of looking at that policy, again, we look at it as a citywide policy. We got to fix all of those components for people. So I think the first step is take a look at and see how this goes this parking season. If there's some modifications we can make this moving forward to this particular law, we should do that. But we have obviously some other work to do before we can get to even a much larger conversation.
Thank you. Councilor Van Buren.
Thank you. I did want to address the tenant amendment that was brought up because I made it. The way it'll read, they are subject to all the same rules that are in this as anyone else. The regular argument here, both the subject and the discussion of the council board, ultimately, or the mayor, and discussion actually award the spot, but there is a need for it, and they want to apply. I think it is a value to me. I have plenty of homes that are subject to pre-existing non-conforming status, 32 have, 32, a lot of those homes are used as rental properties. They're not viable, there are no houses, there's no parking, not only the driveway, there's nowhere really public municipal parking lot at the time. That's something we do have to really great, but these residents need something now. I will be supporting this tonight. I will be the councilman's statement. To a degree, I really think that moving to 24/7 occupancy parking is something you said for controlling the spread of traffic. We talked about the population. I use Mohawk Street as an example. It's probably one of the best right now, regardless of what we do during the day. That street's going to be impassable when winter comes, regardless of what's going to be planned or what we park on both sides. With a 24/7, the spread of that density is controlled. Yes, it's going to move to other streets, but we're putting it in a location that's known by the public, the DPW, emergency services. Those things are taken care of when that happens. A 24/7 alternate parking plan isn't something that's just talked about and done. I honestly believe money should be thrown towards a study for that. You're going to find streets that aren't going to get built. You're going to have no parking. Parking on one side only. It just creates a better piece of continuity for the entire city, and strung towards other processes that will apply to what the street sweeping, those type of things that will be around, not just the current parking. They will be addressed for all homes. And like I said, I think the best thing we can do is find a continuity point. So I would support this, but I still think we're
Thank you. Councilor Reynolds.
I would just like to say that I agree with Councilor Van Buren and many of the points. I am obviously for alternate drive parking. And this is a compromise that gives people who do not have any parking a parking spot. But it isn't enough, and I'd like to see us continue forward in the future. But I will support this today because it does give us a parking spot.
Thank you. Councilor Emmons.
And I also wanted to make mention there were Brad and Tessa Smith contacted me today, and I shared with them they couldn't make it tonight. I shared with them that I shared that with the council. They're concerned about the proposed plan. They happen to have a property that has one parking spot, so they are the mindset of we're looking at committee, that's a little plus one, 2 plus 1 consideration on the past. Mr. Smith has worked late into the evening, was home very late at night, and was concerned about the ability to be able to have parking. It's a valid concern. I've heard that from a couple of different folks, not only from the third ward, but from other wards as well, about that same concern. These are the types of things that are taken into to have conversations about moving forward. There's some provisions within here that I think give some very minor leeway to the councilmen regarding their wards. I think we need to take a look at, there might be some very specific situations within your wards that warrant any further investigation. Perhaps they do have a parking spot that could mitigating circumstances. So we might want to consider some language in this local law that allows for it. So I would encourage folks to contact their alderman, have that conversation before applying, see if it's even possible, and then move forward.
Thank you. Councilor Walker.
Thank you. I just want to touch base on the two business owners that got up and spoke about parking for establishments. Please will not go down and bother your businesses. We will talk to the chief of police about that. We usually wait till about 2:30 when the closing lights are off. That's when they're going to go down on businesses, take care of the problem. But other than that, they will not go down and bother anybody at midnight. We've done it in the past few years and never really, affected anybody like that. So we'll just talk to the chief of police and work with that. Thank you.
Any other comments? Seeing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor McLaughlin. Counselor Emmons. Counselor Walker. Counselor Gozick. Counselor Van Buren. Counselor Cordino. Counselor Reynolds. The resolution passes 7-0.
Clerk, please call resolution 369.
To approve the proposed amendments to the Code of the City of Oswego, Chapter 149, Housing Standards, Section 149 through 6, reference to construction code and other laws.
Counselor Van Buren, Counselor Walker. Any comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor McLaughlin. Counselor Emmons. Counselor Walker. Counselor Gozick. Counselor Van Buren. Counselor Cordino. Counselor Reynolds. The resolution passes 7-0.
Clerk, please call resolution 370.
To approve the sale of property located at 151 East 2nd Street.
Counselor Walker, Counselor Van Buren. Any comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes.
Counselor Emmons.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Gozick.
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
Counselor Cordino.
Yes.
Counselor Reynolds.
Yes.
The resolution passes 7-0.
Clerk, please call resolution 371.
To approve Pathfinder Bank as a depository of public funds.
Counselor Cordino, Counselor Van Buren. Any comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes.
Counselor Emmons.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Gozick.
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
Counselor Cordino.
Yes.
Counselor Reynolds.
Yes.
The resolution passes 7-0.
Clerk, please call resolution 372.
To authorize the mayor to execute an agreement with Butler Disposal Systems Incorporated for the transportation and disposal of sludge.
Counselor Emmons, Counselor Walker. Any comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Yeah.
Counselor Emmons.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Gozick.
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
Counselor Cordino. Counselor Reynolds. The resolution passes 7-0.
Clerk, please call resolution 373.
To authorize Planning and Zoning Director to submit a grant application for the Transportation Alternatives Program.
Counselor Van Buren, Counselor Walker. Any comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes.
Counselor Emmons.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Gozick.
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren. Counselor Cordino.
Yes.
Counselor Reynolds. The resolution passes 7-0.
Clerk, please call resolution 374.
To approve the general fund and enterprise fund budget amendments.
Counselor Cordino, Counselor Gozick. Any comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor McLaughlin. Counselor Emmons. Counselor Walker. Counselor Gozick. Counselor Van Buren. Counselor Cordino.
Yes.
Counselor Reynolds.
Yes.
The resolution passes 7-0.
Clerk, please call resolution 375.
To approve the transfer of funds from within the Animal Control Department.
Counselor Walker, Counselor Gozick. Any comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes.
Counselor Emmons.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Gozick.
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
Counselor Cordino.
Yes.
Counselor Reynolds. The resolution passes 7-0.
Clerk, please call resolution 376.
To approve the attendance at the New York State Highway and Public Works Expo to be held October 19th, 2016 in Syracuse, New York at the request of Tom Kells, Commissioner of Public Works.
Counselor Walker, Counselor Gozick. Any comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes.
Counselor Emmons.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Gozick.
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
Counselor Cordino.
Yes.
Counselor Reynolds.
Yes.
The resolution passes 7-0.
Clerk, please call resolution 377.
To approve the attendance at the K-9 recertification course to be held November 14th through the 18th, 2016 in Cooperstown, New York, at the request of Torrey DeCare Police Chief.
Counselor Reynolds, Counselor Corodino. Any comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes.
Counselor Emmons.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Gozick.
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
Counselor Cordino.
Yes.
Counselor Reynolds. The resolution passes 7-0.
Clerk, please call Resolution 378.
To waive the rules of the Common Council to present resolution numbers 379 through 80 from the floor without committee consideration.
Counselor Emmons, Counselor Walker. Any comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes.
Counselor Emmons.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Gozick.
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
Counselor Cordino.
Yes.
Counselor Reynolds. The resolution passes 7-0.
Clerk, please call Resolution 379.
To authorize the mayor to execute a sewer use agreement with the town of Oswego for the Ontario Heights Sewer District.
Counselor Emmons, Counselor Walker. Any comments? Counselor Walker.
Yeah, I'd just like the public to know that Ontario Heights is west of Draper Street to the college entrance. They've been hooked up, all the property's already been hooked up to our sewer system for years now.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other?
Just a point of
Counselor Gozick.
clarification. I was just wondering, do we have any idea exactly how much revenue we're talking about? I know the agreement, looking through it, was for 2 years, 2018. I was just wondering if there's any idea. This is, I just was concerned we were talking earlier about where it affected. I just didn't know, is there numbers or
This is so this contract expired December 31st, 2015. Obviously now it's October, so it's been expired for a while, and we've been operating under the terms of the old contract up until this year. Part of the reason it took us to October to get a contract was I wanted to wait until we passed the commercial water rates that we passed this year, because I wanted the town to pay more than what I think a city resident per 1,000 gallons should pay, but also I thought it was right that when we charge our commercial users here in the city $10 per 1,000 gallons, I think we should at least get more than that to allow an outside user, in this case the town, to hook up their sewer district, which is Ontario Heights, to our infrastructure and send to our plant. So I don't remember what the old rate was. I want to say it was $10.10.
$10.13.
$10.13.
The last.
This is $11 per 1,000, so we increased it, that much, and I think that's right. So it took some time. Number one, we passed the commercial water rates in April, I think, and we went back and forth with the town in very friendly discussions, I might add, but it just took time to hit that number that they were comfortable with, that we're comfortable with. And but to give you an exact dollar amount, I don't have it because we've never charged this amount, but it'll be an increase. Any other comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor McLaughlin.
Yes.
Counselor Emmons.
Yes.
Counselor Walker.
Yes.
Counselor Gozick.
Yes.
Counselor Van Buren.
Yes.
Counselor Cordino.
Yes.
Counselor Reynolds. The resolution passes 7-0.
Clerk, please call Resolution 380.
To authorize the mayor to execute a contract with Artificial Ice Events for the rental of the ice rink for the tree lighting ceremony.
Counselor Emmons, Counselor Van Buren, any comments? Counselor Cordino.
Thank you, Mayor. I know last week we did discuss this in detail, and we went back and forth on some of the points of this proposed artificial ice rink here. And I just want to reiterate and maybe clarify some of the things that I spoke about last week. I firmly believe that any event or activity that draws people downtown is good for the business community as well as the city.
a strong and vibrant downtown is important to the city of Oswego. To speak to, I know Councilor Van Buren speaks very often about quality of life issues, and I think an event like this is something like that that creates quality of life issues. And on top of that, I mean, you might have families coming, and it's going to be the festive time of the year, obviously. But in conjunction with that, there is a side benefit for the city of Oswego. People who come downtown might stop and shop, and of course, sales tax is one of our biggest revenue sources. So I think it certainly is a good idea to draw people downtown, and the side benefit of enhancing the quality of life. But at the same time, I think as a council, we do have to be smart about how we spend taxpayers' money and utilize the limited resources that the city has. And I did balk at that initial cost last week, but since now it's been 7 days, 8 days, I understand through Councilor Emmons that the cost has been reduced by about $1,500. So it certainly makes it a little more easy to take when we're saving $1,500, and I believe the cost is just over $5,000 now. That in itself, I think, is a good thing that we've reduced the cost. If this proposal is approved, as I think it will be, because I believe there's enough support for it, I think we should use this as an opportunity, to be honest with you, to maybe look at a couple different directions to go, a short-term and a long-term direction here. We shouldn't just have this event and pay the money for this ice skating rink and not do something with it. And what I'm talking about is I'd really like to get some hard data. I'd like to see, if possible, the people who are going to be there from the youth center, if we can get some hard numbers on how well it was attended. Did people come down just for that? Did it draw more than what we usually have for the tree lighting ceremony? If it in fact draws people downtown for a 10-hour, I think it's a 10-hour event. If it draws people downtown, then maybe we should look at this in short term and long term. If it's a success, let's say it's a success after looking at the data and we say everything points in a positive direction, a ton of people came, it was very popular, then again, we'll probably talk about this next year and do it again next year. But between now and next year, I'd like to see us possibly try to have some local businesses, whether it's a large entity like Novellis or a Pathfinder Bank, somebody step up and maybe help offset some of the costs. Because $5,100 is still, again, a large sum of money. And to me, that's a short-term goal, to try to offset the cost. A long-term goal, and I know some of you would probably be shocked for me to say this, but a long-term goal, I think, and I've given this a lot of thought, and a long-term goal to me would be, again, if it's a success, and we want to do this year after year after year, wouldn't it be smarter, instead of spending this $5,000 this year, and maybe expand it and make it bigger and $6,000 next year, why not take that $5,000 or $6,000 and reconfigure, repurpose our plaza? It's a beautiful plaza, but it has one function, and that's for waterfall of the fountain to pour water. To speak to Councilor Van Buren last week, he brought up the city of Syracuse. They have a fountain in downtown Syracuse that during the wintertime becomes an ice skating rink. Why not, with the help of maybe Justin Rudge and community development, see if we can, and of course this is not going to be done tomorrow or next year, but see if we can find some funding to repurpose the plaza into a more functional plaza, one that can be used multi-season. A fountain in the summertime, a skating rink in the wintertime. That way, we're getting more bang for our buck. And of course, there would be costs associated with that. But to speak to the $5,000 or $6,000 it's going to cost us, this could be operated like the pool is in the city of Oswego. The pool is only open a couple months out of the year, from the end of June to the third or fourth week of August. It would be similar in duration, hiring temporary workers, college age or high school, and the $5,000 or $6,000 we're spending for a temporary ice skating rink for 10 hours could be the operating budget for a 2-month skating rink downtown here at the plaza. So again, I think there's enough demand and love of the sport of hockey. Now, I'm not saying this would be a hockey rink because I haven't looked at the numbers, I haven't looked at the dimensions. I'm sure Councilor Bowman could tell me the exact dimensions of a hockey rink. But even if it wasn't big enough to be a hockey rink, I mean, I've seen many neighborhood backyards where families will put in a temporary rink and spend money on wood and the liner and have their kids practice hockey or skating. And I'm sure there's enough kind of demand where those people that are doing that would love to come down, spend a buck, drop their 8 or 9-year-olds, get off, maybe go across the street, have a cup of coffee, or go buy a book, and then come back and pick up their kids. I mean, to me, it would be a draw. It would be a draw for 2.5 months, as opposed to 1 10-hour day. So I know this is a long-term goal, but to me, it's something to be worth looking at. Because, again, if it is a viable draw for downtown, why not take this plaza that is really useless during the wintertime and repurpose it to something that we can use as a draw for downtown? So I just want to throw that out there, that there's a short-term and a long-term vision I see for this. And I'm throwing it out there and hoping that maybe somebody will pick up the ball, maybe Justin, maybe our deputy commissioner can look at the funding. Obviously, it would be cheap to refigure the fountain in the plaza. It could be maybe just the western end from this walkway going west. And on top of that, it could be a revenue producer as well. I'm not saying that we make profit, but sort of like the pool. I don't think we ever make money on the pool. However, we currently have events in the city of Oswego that could utilize something like this. There's Warm Up Oswego. I know they have human dog races. Well, how about a 3-on-3 hockey tournament in this small, reduced-size hockey rink? How about during the winter hockey tournament, Power Play? The Power Play tournament brings in hundreds of people to the city of Oswego that don't live here. And they stay in our hotels and they eat in our restaurants. But as a parent of a child who went to tournaments, not hockey, but a different sport, I know that there's always going to be siblings involved. Now, what's wrong with a father and mother and a sibling of a hockey player coming down to Oswego's downtown and using our hockey outdoor rink? And the parents again could spend some money downtown. Birthday parties. There's another. I mean, I'm just throwing these ideas, and they're not certainly things that are set in stone, but there's actually more questions than answers I have in this grand idea I have. But right now, we rent the Breakup Pavilion for birthday parties. I happened to have gone to one a couple years ago for a 2-year-old. It could be rented on a Saturday afternoon for a couple hours for a birthday party. As a parent of a child who was born in the month of January, believe me, you get tired of bringing 10 or 15 8-year-olds to the bowling alley for a birthday party. So that could be an idea that we could have as a revenue producer to enhance or offset the cost. But, you know, these are just ideas that I came up with since I've only had 3 hours of sleep. So, it doesn't matter if I have stuff like that. So, with that said, I'll leave it at that. Thank you for listening to me.
Councilor Gozick.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for coming back and follow that. I do like Rob's idea. I really do like it. I bring the DPW and all the people I've seen the whole life. Guys, I know they're trying to get things done. But in the meantime, I just want to mention that I was offered the opportunity to try one of these artificial ice rinks. and thanks for the police here tonight. Actually, I tried to brought this son-in-law, had one, after the remote, I tried it out, and it's not as fast as many lights, but it's definitely, safer, only because it can't go fast. I was wondering, the rink I skated on was 40 by 60 feet, the dimension now, after talking, hearing some of the things I've heard, I guess we're looking at. I was just wondering, dimensions, final dimensions and location, if I'm not mistaken, people will be over here on the west half of the downtown Pacific Plaza, and additionally, it's going to be 40 by 30, how big it's going to be.
20.5 by 40, which allows 30 high school students. The original measure allowed 40, so we're losing 10 people, but we're able to accommodate in the parking area. So if you walk for part of downtown, there's really not one flat piece of property here that could really accommodate any sort of high school without some sort of requirement. That was the challenge there, was trying to find a flat space that was sensible enough to the actual tree and to all the activity. And that's the spot. I mean, I think it's going to be a gorgeous spot, but when you choose a spot like that, you had to compromise a little bit on the size of it. But we also were able to save some money along with that.
Now, I just had one last question. Now, so is it going to be, are people going to rent skates? Is that the idea? Are they going to rent the skates? Is the ice free, but you have to rent skates? Or
No.
is it going to be like $1? I just didn't know if there was any, it's going to be free. But you can rent skates or bring your own.
Either one, yeah.
Was there going to be, the last question, I guess, is how would it be monitored? Is there going to be someone in charge of monitoring the numbers? And like Councilor Cordillo said, it might not be a bad idea, considering it is a pretty substantial amount of money, considering the volume set we just went through. I understand I was sold out by Councilor Cordillo, so I think it is an adjustment. I agree with the volume of light issue here, and I think that we bring a lot of people down. I probably wondering if we could monitor this before we want to.
Yeah, I mean, Councilor, I think it's absolutely monitoring that. The company provides 2 staff people to actually run the ring. They provide a cage for folks to use. They actually bring a skate sharpening unit as well as sharpening cage. It needs to be sharpened, so it's a fairly self-contained unit, and they fully operate it. I would concur that having some data to be able to look back on getting people to use the well with the and to put it in perspective, I mean, there's quite a few activities that are going on in and around the ring that particular day, from the expo that takes place at the YMCA Armory to Stannis visiting the team that afternoon, and we'll sit in City Hall to the actual free-lighting event that starts at 5. A lot of the businesses doing small work Saturday as well. So there's plenty of things going on that we can your downtown area, and also, even if they didn't know, there was an ice skating rink downtown, the ability to be like, I can go skating right now and I don't even have to have a pair of skates, absolutely. Hop on in and enjoy yourself. So, for Councilor Cordino's idea, I think if Mr. Kells had his way, he'd probably be out there with a bulldozer later on tonight and starting that project if he could. So, I think it's a wonderful idea to try to do something different with the plaza and have it be more of a all-season sort of property. Let's just not tear down the tree.
Councilor Van Buren.
I just want to thank Councilor Capital.
Yikes. Great. Any other comments? I'd just like to thank Councilor Emmons. I think this was your idea. And I would encourage city residents and even folks who do not live in the city to attend the Christmas tree lighting ceremony that the city will put on. It's going to be bigger and better than ever this year with the ice rink, We allocated some additional funding to make sure it's bigger and better than ever. And the Youth Bureau is working hard on putting that together for us, and it'll be here before we know it. So, and the plaza is going to look great. Any other comments? Seeing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor McLaughlin. Counselor Emmons. Counselor Walker. Counselor Gozick. Counselor Van Buren. Counselor Cordino. Counselor Reynolds. The resolution passes 7-0.
Any unfinished business to come before the council? Counselor Van Buren? Counselor McLaughlin? Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor McLaughlin. Counselor Emmons. Counselor Walker. Counselor Gozick. Counselor Van Buren. Counselor Cordino. Counselor Reynolds. The resolution passes 7-0.
Meeting is adjourned.